There's no such thing as a woman having high standards. It's men who have high entitlements and low effort.
The dating coaches are losing their minds. We've got a video for you here today from Logical Dating 101. Don't forget to like and subscribe on your way in, and let's get into it.
So, who caught that? Did anyone? Because it's rather apparent that there are some women out there that don't even seem to realize what actually constitutes chivalrous or even gentlemanly behavior for that matter. Because if they did, they would have probably realized that those gentlemen are actually sitting with their backs to the wall and their fronts are facing the door. What's the relevance of that, some of you are asking? Well, that means that those gentlemen would be able to see any possible danger that would be approaching from behind the woman, and they would be able to act upon it should the case arise. So, those gentlemen are doing exactly what they should be doing if we're talking about acting in a gentlemanly manner towards a lady. They're not sitting there for their comfort. They're sitting there because that is the actual gentlemanly thing that they should be doing.
Even if that was the case, it really wouldn't matter, simply because these women would just complain that the guys aren't sitting next to the girls and have segregated themselves off. This isn't about chivalry, it's just about bashing men.
The men that think it's the biggest flex to be like, I don't chase a woman.
Take a wild guess on what they're about to say next.
Ew, are you gay? Did you just find out that you're newly gay?
It's really quite amazing, actually, how many women are just straight up coming out there and saying that they're homophobic. Not only that, but they're rather implying that there's something inherently wrong with a person who does happen to be gay. Yeah, that's really not a good look.
The irony with that is that these women are also the very same women who claim to be allies of those very same communities that they're mocking. But so long as it's used to insult men, then it's totally okay to use those words as slurs to emasculate them.
But you know what else also isn't a very good look? Desperation. Because that's certainly the impression that takes like these are giving, that someone, or anyone, would have to be so desperate to actually get someone to pursue them that they're going to resort to shaming tactics in order to get them to do so. If they're not interested, they're not interested, and trying to tell them that they're gay in order to try to get them to change their behavior is not going to make them interested. If anything, it's certainly going to put them off even more.
When a modern woman hears a guy that says, I don't chase, all women hear is, I'm not going to give you attention and presence, and that's more than enough to set them off and get angry at men. That's why they resort to the shaming.
I don't care how good the information is, I will scroll every time I see a cis white man trying to give me information. And I love that for me.
Now, this might be my age talking a little bit, but I can very distinctly remember a time when it was considered a bad thing to be prejudiced against a group of people, especially for characteristics that they have no control over. But social media and the internet have really changed a lot of things, haven't they?
The internet and social media have pretty much monetized misery and bitterness. The more angry and hateful a woman is towards a specific group of men, the more rewards they get in the form of attention, validation, and clout. It's rather sad that's all it takes to influence these women.
I mean, think about it. As long as that demographic of people fits into certain categories, checks all the right boxes, as it were, then it's perfectly acceptable to put your bigotry on full display. And people will not only praise you for it, they will actually applaud you for your forward thinking, because in their minds you can't discriminate against a certain group of people, so it's perfectly acceptable to be as prejudiced as a person wants to be. Not only that, but actually be proud of the fact that they're ignoring any information that comes from someone purely based on their skin color and the gender in which they happen to have. What a time to be alive.
Modern women love to gatekeep anything they can, it seems, whether it's certain hobbies, jobs, food. They say it's strictly for the girlies, and it's interesting how they think they're also allowed to gatekeep hateful rhetoric as well, which is weird because who would want to gatekeep that? But anyway.
Okay, so women are emotional ones.
Oh, goody. Where is this going?
Help me out. How come 90% of violent crimes are committed by men, and 90% of all homicide offenders are men?
Oh, I think I see the problem here. It's an inability to understand two subjects, math and statistics. But to be fair, those two things do stump a lot of individuals. Because while 90% of those crimes are in fact committed by men, it is not 90% of the men that are committing those crimes.
The funny thing is, even if you were able to calmly show statistics that prove the vast majority of men are not violent criminals, it wouldn't actually matter. These are the types of women who think so long as there's one man who does something evil, then all men are evil by default.
They're also not taking into consideration the fact that a lot of those crimes are committed by repeat offenders.
Do you have periods every month where you are overcome by this sudden rush of hormones? No?
Oh dear, they're really trying to compare a rush of hormones to someone having some very serious behavioral, not to mention probably some serious mental health problems as well. Oh dear, I think we just stepped back in time.
Math ain't mathing. Why so emotional, bro? How come you're losing at your own game?
Yeah, as I said earlier, the math isn't mathing, most likely because there's a lot of individuals out there that simply don't know how to do math. But I find it interesting that that entire video was nothing but an emotional response.
What's funny is how these women say that men are violent and evil, but in the exact same video, they record themselves mocking those very same men, because modern women are strong and empowered while also weak and oppressed at the exact same time.
I'm actually gonna crash out because why the did I just see a man post on Instagram 33 minutes ago and he has 100 likes?
Okay, and that is a problem somehow because why?
And he's not famous.
Sounds like jealousy. This might come as a complete shock, but a person doesn't have to be famous in order to post content that people actually like. That's the key part.
This woman has no idea how viral videos even work. Most of those videos don't come from famous people, but then again, to be fair, she never had that much internet attention, so there's no way she could possibly know how that works.
I swear to God, if men don't get off social media, I'm gonna make the cartel putting hits on ice look like beginner.
Ew. That just really goes to show that jealousy really is not a good look, and it can absolutely bring out the worst traits in some individuals, as we have just seen, because not only was that an attempt at, I hope, a joke, not only in very poor taste, but that wasn't even remotely funny.
You can't really be surprised when a modern woman goes online and threatens massive amounts of violence against dudes for the crime of posting content on social media that gets more attention than hers. And you shouldn't be surprised that she gets away with it without any consequences at this point.
A lot of men these days are jealous of women.
No, they're not. But I'm sure that someone is going to try to make a case for why they are.
Because they feel insecure, and they don't feel like they have a use or a purpose anymore.
That's why they're jealous of women, because most men feel that way? Apparently they don't talk to a lot of men.
Because we can surpass them in the workplace, the one thing they had to impress us.
Really? Someone thinks that's what impresses women? Apparently they don't know much about women either.
And what do they really have anymore? Well, they could have ways to impress us, but instead of doing that, they're insecure and jealous because we're really the impressive ones.
If these women were truly the quote-unquote impressive ones, then why are the vast majority of them single, childless, and incredibly unappealing? You would think that if that was the case, men would be flocking to them in droves instead of avoiding them at all costs.
If anyone was ever curious what a circular argument sounds like, you just heard one.
Women can have it all. Men could never have it all.
What exactly do they mean by it all?
Maybe that's why they suppressed us and our rights for so long, because they knew this, that we are the most powerful gender.
Powerful? I guess they're forgetting that whole strength advantage that guys have.
We can literally create life with our bodies.
No, you can't. And I'm sorry, ladies, to break this to you, but if you're amongst those who actually think that women create life all by themselves without the contribution of a man, then you are severely underinformed.
Women like this love to bring up the rights argument as if it actually means something. Modern women have significantly more rights than men, but they need to shove the right to vote thing down men's throats, even though that argument holds no water at all.
In biology.
The men who see that, the men who understand that, are gonna be those that end up with women because they know how to treat us and respect us like we deserve.
And how exactly do women deserve to be treated? Because there's a lot of them out there that seem to think they should be treated as better than men. I hope they don't call themselves feminists.
But those who can't see that or don't want to see that are going to remain single and die alone with their video games.
I think a lot of men would prefer to be single as opposed to being with someone who has an entitled attitude.
What she doesn't get is how men would rather be alone with their video games than be with a woman who thinks that her gender makes her superior to everyone around her. She's threatening men with a good time, not exactly a smart plan there.
I think the scales will rebalance. It might take a crazy, insane event for men to wake up and step up again and learn that they can step up. And I think the ones who just stay insecure and jealous are removing themselves from the gene pool so their generational trauma doesn't repeat itself. What are your thoughts? Let's chat about it in the comments.
I think a lot of individuals put too much weight on being in a relationship. Being in a relationship doesn't make a person better than anyone else. Because quite frankly, there are a lot of us that would rather be single than with the wrong person.
It's very interesting how these women demand that men step up, but they never explain what that means. It's just a phrase they use to complain that nobody's good enough to be with them.
As a man, why are you complaining?
I can think of multiple very valid reasons why gentlemen would have a reason to complain about something.
If you are complaining to me, I'm gonna get the immediate ick.
Oh no, not that. I can only imagine the number of gentlemen that are going to be absolutely heartbroken.
Because that's a woman's job.
To complain? Can that really be what they meant?
A woman's job is to complain while you fix.
Well, okay, that was what they meant. Yeah, let's hear it for gender stereotypes, everyone.
In other words, this woman wants a man to sit and listen to her endlessly complain about every aspect of her life, but the second a man needs some support, then the woman is under no obligation to provide any because a man must support her and himself.
Do not get on my phone, start texting me and complaining about your day.
Oh, heaven forbid a guy actually take a moment to vent about his day. How awful. Yet, ironically, these will be some of the same types of women that insist that the guys listen to all of their problems.
I don't care. Solve it. You're a man.
Well, here's a problem that we can solve right now. Gentlemen, if you run into a woman that treats you like that, run the other direction.
It's weird to see how these women consider themselves experts when it comes to the quote-unquote job of being a man. They are so quick to point out what a man's job is, but the second you ask them what a woman's job is, they'll act like you just asked them to solve a calculus equation. But anyway, guys, we are going to be leaving today's episode there. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out. Click this video that's up on the screen now if you want to see more. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.